Frag list loaded. Status: eager to execute. Systems online. Thank you for choosing this fine Coalescence product. Ident, Reaper.
What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about the next specialist that will be coming with the new operation beginning on July 9th for Black Ops 4. So shout out to the Gaming Revolution, who was apparently in talks with a reliable source that was able to provide them with some information about the next operation in Black Ops 4. So as this source officially said, the Reaper from Black Ops 3 returns next operation. He looks much more like a prototype, being bulky and unfinished in certain areas. He has a minigun which can be mounted into walls and creates something similar to the Vendetta's bipod, but much more advanced and buggy. There's also a decoy grenade. Blackjack is a specialist after that, and the last specialist that will ever be implemented into Black Ops 4. There are no more new specialists, and no specialists were ever cut either. Everything in the original plans for Black Ops 4 was and will be added eventually. Most of the new weapons added to Black Ops 4 will be from Black Ops 3 due to the majority of Treyarch working on Black Ops 5, and in general, content will be slower and less frequent. DLC 5/Zombies Chronicles hasn't been cancelled. There was then an image provided, which I believe was leaked right around the launch week of Black Ops 4, and this minigun appeared while somebody was digging through the code of Black Ops 4 Zombies, and apparently this minigun will be used on this new version of the Reaper within Black Ops 4. So this new version of the Reaper will be coming over into multiplayer, and maybe, just maybe, there will be a numbers outfit mission, so you can also unlock him in Blackout. And the reason that's interesting is because we already have the original Reaper from Black Ops 3 as a playable character in Blackout if you own the Black Ops Pass, but it appears this version of the Reaper is going to be a prototype, as the source said, so he'll look a little bit different and will have some different abilities than the original Reaper we know from Black Ops 3. So I guess that's interesting, and this person of course also confirmed the Blackjack will be the final specialist, which will be added in during the next operation. So obviously Treyarch had this in mind a long time ago if the minigun, which apparently is going to belong to the Reaper, was leaked all the way back in October, if I'm correct. So that's really crazy, and I guess their best plan for the next two operations was to include the specialist, which we already saw back in Black Ops 3, but will work a little bit differently here in Black Ops 4, and it appears the only new specialist we actually got during the DLC season was Zero, since after that we just got the Outrider, which we already saw in Black Ops 3, and then we got the Spectre. And keep in mind, all these characters were leaked even before the launch of the game, so they were definitely in Treyarch's plans, and they of course met those expectations by releasing those characters. But it appears the Reaper and Blackjack are the next two specialists for the next two and final operations within Black Ops 4. So in terms of this minigun, obviously Black Ops 4 is a prequel to Black Ops 3, so it's not as advanced and not as futuristic as Black Ops 3's technology was, so I definitely understand why there's a bit of a downgrade, maybe not gameplay wise, but aesthetic wise, with the way this minigun looks. Obviously in Black Ops 3, the Reaper had the little minigun come out of his hand, and it's pretty cool animation. It was really fun to use, and he had the psychosis ability as well, which obviously threw out some decoy robots that looked exactly like the Reaper, but were meant to trick your enemies into shooting those decoys instead of actually you. So since a decoy was also mentioned with this new version of the Reaper, I'm sure it'll work a little bit differently. It won't be as advanced as the decoy psychosis we had in Black Ops 3, but we'll just have to wait and see. Obviously all this will be revealed within the upcoming trailer, which I believe will drop on July the 8th for the summer operation here in Black Ops 4, so I'm really excited to see what they end up doing with the Reaper. Obviously, he'll look different, more like a prototype. He will have a minigun, as we saw in that picture, that was obviously ripped from Voyage of Despair. Not sure how somebody got that working, but somebody managed to do it. And then we have this form of a decoy grenade, which I'm sure will work very similar to the Psychosis, or maybe even more similar to the decoy grenade we had all the way back in Black Ops 1, which we haven't seen in a while. So once again, a bit of a mix between classic and futuristic gameplay. gameplay. Now, I'm really not disappointed about these new specialists not being anybody new and just being characters we're already familiar with. Obviously, story-wise, it makes sense going into Black Ops 3, since Black Ops 4 takes place before Black Ops 3, but with Treyarch quickly getting into development with Call of Duty 2020, I completely understand how Black Ops 4 pretty much got the boot from Activision, and Activision's like, you know what, instead of working on brand new content, exciting innovation, and some crazy DLC, just do whatever you can to finish the next two operations and DLCs for Black Ops 4 and just move on. You know, consider it a loss and just get ready to work on Call of Duty 2020 or the Black Ops reboot. Don't worry about Black Ops 4, and obviously Activision is in charge of Treyarch and they tell them what to do, so Treyarch has no say as to whether or not they can incorporate new content, recycled content, remastered content. It's all up to Activision to decide what the priority is for Treyarch and their development team. So I definitely understand that, and the fact that this source said that was already in the plans maybe even means that regardless of Treyarch working on Call of Duty 2020, they still wanted to just incorporate those OG specialists from Black Ops 3 in a different way with different abilities here in Black Ops 4. So people can consider it recycled content, but that was Treyarch's plan anyway, despite them being put in charge of Call of Duty 2020 or the Black Ops reboot. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention was the fact that this source says that DLC 5 or Zombies Chronicles is still happening. So I'm not sure how outdated this information is. I'm assuming it isn't outdated, but as I mentioned many times before, I think a Season 2 or a second year of life for Black Ops 4 definitely isn't happening, but as they're working on Call of Duty 2020, we'll see similar updates like we saw with Black Ops 3 when it wasn't in its core life cycle. So we'll see updates like, say, every other month or so. And when it comes to zombies, I think DLC 5 will either be released as one content drop or the Transit Trilogy, Transit, Die Rise, and Buried, or they'll kind of separate the releases of those zombie maps. Not sure exactly how they're going to handle it, but we'll definitely see some zombies content, that's guaranteed. But in terms of new chaos maps or new ether maps, I don't think that's going to happen because they just don't have the time or resources. But for all we know, they could have got a head start on development for some of those maps, and they still will be coming next year. We just don't know that as a fact right now, but based on what this source says and many other sources out there who I've spoken to myself, it only seems like remastered maps are coming to Black Ops 4 Zombies next year. But in terms of multiplayer and Blackout, I just don't think those modes will get very much support. Maybe some limited time game modes added here and there, double XP events, double merits, something cool like that, but nothing major like a new operation, as we all expected if Black Ops 4 had a second year of life. But with Treyarch working on Call of Duty 2020, that just doesn't seem likely anymore. But once again, everything is subject to change. These sources aren't necessarily lying. Some may be lying at some points in time, but most of the time, information becomes outdated. Agendas change over at the studio, and it's nobody's fault when leaks aren't exactly 100% accurate by the time the content actually releases. It's nobody's fault. It just happens when it comes to the gaming industry. But hope you guys all understand. This has been dkdynamite. Check all links down below in the description. Let me know what you think about the Reaper and Blackjack coming as new specialists within Black Ops 4 multiplayer, and even potentially as playable characters in Blackout if you complete the numbers outfit missions, which we saw before in the past with all the other specialists they added in. So I'm assuming they'll be added in for these two new ones as well. But that's about it. Stay tuned in for more DLC 3 coverage coming up later this week, and peace out, everyone.